Okay, it is time to start the special lecture number 1. I'm a moderator for special lecture 1. My name is Hyobong Park, working at Ina University Incheon in South Korea. Today I'm very happy to introduce special exercise physiologist Dr. Hideaki Soya. He is a professor of Health and Sports Science Department at University of Tsukuba. He has been working in the field of exercise biochemistry and sports neuroscience with a very, very productive achievement. His work has been published in significant journals such as Neuron, PNNS, Diabetes, something like that. He's very, very productive. Now he is a director at Advanced Research Initiative for Human High Performance in Japan. Please give a big hand.
So first, I'd like to thank our organizing committee and Professor Khan for the opportunity to give the talk. So first, may I introduce about myself. I came from the University of Tsukuba, faculty of Medicine and Sports Science. So all faculties studies hard and train hard. It is a very important characteristic of our university, especially in our faculties, because these traditions originate is very famous. The university's first president, Yoro Kano, he was the founder of the judo and martial art of judo. But he also left very important legacies of body and mind and the integration, its integration through judo and sports. That is a very important concept, promoting human development and health promotion. But currently, however, still the children who will bear the next generation are suffering from obesity and nutrition, which will further deteriorates global hypoglycemia issues. It's the same in any of the countries. It is the same in the Korea. We just aim to study scientific principle and method by which exercise causes the integration of our body and mind, the high progress and fitness. This should be the base of developing new exercise and devices maximizing human performance for many people, including vulnerable peoples. So based on the concept, I studies animals and human affairs. Under these research titles with through brain and bone, one of the things. In the other words, brain and muscle mind the same. So I want to show some collaboration like this, and some students to note. So this is a little bit old pictures, 5 or 6 years, because I want to show somebody to know. So first, the yellow colors, national athletic champions, rowing at the 110-meter and track and field athletes, national champions. And the greens colors, and world champions, slope skipping and aerobics dance. And finally, these are very more important. These are the Korean colleagues, blue colors guys. Imagers, Kyungho and Yuk. Together with Hyuk Chang and the Seoul Women College. So today we focus on brain androgen. Its effects on the exercise enhance adult human hippocampal neurogenesis. So currently, many people focus on the exercise effects on the brain through many humoral factors, neural and humoral factors, like as you find the working and so on. But today I focus on the brain-genic androgen. The androgen, melanine, leptin, these are humoral factors born in the brains and act on many, not only the brain but also on the peripherals. So today we focus on the androgens effects on the brain, hippocampal plasticities through autocrine and paracrine loads. Today's main is here. First, plastic hippocampus to exercise in humans. So we know very much that the skeletal muscle can get hypertrophy when you get gyms and you continue the proper exercise for certain terms. In this case, brain control muscle and impact on the muscles with many of the neural and humoral regulating factors such as the growth hormone, IGF-1, androgen, and so on. So is it true? Is it reproducible in the brain and the mental health? The exercise and active muscles activate brains. So it should be the yes, we can do it. Indeed, the current lots of studies reveals proper conditioned exercise has beneficial effects on not only peripheral organs such as muscle, bone, heart, liver, and so on, but also on the brain regions associated with cognition, such as the prefrontal cortex, gyrus, and the hippocampus. The exercise effects on these brains leads to improvement of cognition and the prevention of dementia. So I call such a beneficial effect of exercise on brain fitness here, right now. In contrast with the beneficial effects on the body fitness, there is still less evidence on the this brain fitness. So it is very fruitful to do study this brain fitness. So first we talk about hippocampal plasticities. Okay, so that especially brain activate with exercise, and so hippocampus is very plastic brain regions, sometimes atrophy and sometimes hypertrophies. Recent research reveals cognitive functions decline in parallel with age, stress, chronic stress, and depression, probably due to inhibited neurogenesis, dendritic atrophies, and sometimes hippocampal atrophies, and depression. Particularly, the hippocampus is very vulnerable regions. Plastic region is exposed to depression, chronic stress, sleep deprivation, and easy to atrophies, cognitive defects. It is true in those very young children with depression, hippocampus volumes go down even unchanged. Even the children's such an atrophy, of course, that is very, very serious. On the other hand, this is very old studies and 2000 millennium studies. Taxi driver in London got much hippocampal volumes compared to the age-mature peoples. But this should be the change because of the navigation system in car. So it means, hippocampal is a very plastic atrophy and hypertrophies. It is still arguing the human hippocampus how to change or sometimes get hypertrophy. It's still unknown, but Erickson and Kramer's groups in Illinois have shown longer term, 1 year aerobic exercise regimens with moderate to hyper intensities causes hippocampal hypertrophy and increases special memories. So this is the hippocampus, very large in animals and very exotic shape. So currently, the nature of neurons and its development has been established by novelist Santiago Cajaras. He proposed, first 4 times, neuron theories or doctrine in which the nervous system or brain is made of discrete individual cells, which is called neurons. Neurons are comprised of cell body, dendrites, and long groove axon. The axon actually carries very tiny electric signals, which are the information that tell us what we feel, what we think, what we see, what we touch. Therefore, they also tell how to move and how to function. However, current study clearly reveals his hypothesis is wrong. He proposed no new neurons after birth, which persisted almost a century as a doctrine until 1996. Now it is now well accepted. Neurogenesis occurs in the hippocampus. Indeed, this hyperplasticity of the hippocampus is due to the this is the neurogenesis occurs in the dental cells in the hippocampus throughout the life. So the neurogenesis is so-called adult hippocampal neurogenesis. So the exact nature of adult hippocampal neurogenesis is still arguing. For example, the stress and aging and decrease in the neurogenesis, and it's caused the dementia and depression. On the other hand, enriched environments, exercise enhances neurogenesis. It has a positive effect on the brain, such as improving cognitive function. So exercise alters, environment alters, change the plasticities and increase the neurogenesis. They compare the factors in these environments, running and swimming and running and enriched environments. And they found both running and the enriched environment is very efficient factors to induce the neurogenesis in the dental gyrus. However, it is unknown how exercise enhances neurogenesis because most of the studies has been done using the field running. When we use the field runs, we only can define the exercise condition, distance, not intensity, frequency, times. So any of the exercise conditions such as intensity, time, and frequency, except running, when we use the field is uncontrollable. This doesn't provide any useful information to human for prescribing exercise. Forced running exercise on treadmill are variable to its requirement. If limiting electrical shocks for rushing. So this is a relationship between the running distance and the neurogenesis. So Dr. Rhodes, Illinois University groups, these are the significant correlation between them, but as shown in light and distance. But this is a correlation between the new cells and the volumes. This is the truth. But field runnings, and relationship between field running and neurogenesis. So positive effects of tolerance in this phase, but longer term runnings doesn't increase the neurogenesis. That's why running distance could not determinant factor for enhancing neurogenesis. Spontaneous hypertensive animals are very available because those animals known to get much running distance to check the exercising effect on brain. This data show the biphasic effect. Hippocampal progenitor proliferation cells after exercise, voluntary running in adult rats, which seems to be dependent on the level of running activities a bit. Moderate amount increase, but thereafter longer period of voluntary running seen here is in the stressful condition. So that's why so there are the impulsive cells, meaning the neurogenesis effects go down very much. So running distance is not reliable indication of the physiological criteria applying for animal models. So exercise always stress response based on the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. So the HPA axis and finally mediator cortisols have a very interesting effects on the neurogenesis. Differential effects on neurogenesis depend on its glucose levels, low and middle and hyper levels. In the lower levels of glucocorticoids, within the lower levels, glucocorticoid increase the neurogenesis, while hypercortisol levels dampen its neurogenesis. This is very important to note. So which drug balance? Okay. So we favor treatment exercise because these are factors, important factors in this exercise condition should be adjustables, like human. So next, mild exercise induces neurogenesis and memory. So to examine the exercise effects on brains physiologically, we need physiological variant models. For this purpose, we determine the exercise intensity in terms of animals' individual aerobic capacities based on the physiological criteria such as VO2 max, lactate threshold, and bench weight threshold, like in human. In our studies, we focus on the lactate threshold, which is defined here around 50 to 60% of VO2 max. That is just a moderate intensity of exercise. So above the LT levels, so we call this intense exercise above LT is a hyper-intense exercise. Why? This exercise to 20 to 40 percentage, below the lactate threshold, this exercise is stress-free because, please look at this ACTH, this is the indication of the stress response. ACTH increase just above LT together with the lactate. So we call this exercise as exercise stress, while this is a stress-free mild exercise, like yoga and Tai Chi. We can determine the mild exercise physiologically from this indication. Here is shown a typical exercise model in rats. Data is showing it. It is just the same in mice. Okay. So we first determine the running lactate threshold on the graded exercise of treadmill. Okay, lactate increase having the threshold here at 20 meters per minute. This is just like that in humans. So ACTH increase just above the LT. This has been done through external catheters through cannulation operations. This is a very simple and short-term operations. So after 2 days after this operation, animals and body weight increase and increase in feeding as well. So during the exercise, running on the treadmills, we can take a breath from the jugular vein, through the jugular vein. So this implicates the successful physiological model available for sports neuroscience. So we can determine the animal's LT found in the running speeds at the 20 meters per minute. So that's why above the LT speed, we regard this is running stress, while this is a stress-free running, mild exercise. The reason why we focus on the mild and very mild exercise of hippocampus neuron is based on these force accumulation studies. These preliminary studies have been done to examine the neural activation pattern by using a special temporal pattern of force expression. Force is a very important indicator of neural activation. Here we found the neural activation very dependent on the intensities. And the brain region, intensity and brain region. So this is the hypothalamus and the hippocampus. Okay, so neural activation indication by the C-force messenger RNA through autoradiographies for C-force using the antisense for C-force. So any of the hypothalamic neurons activate above the lactate threshold, while in the hippocampus, so even the mild exercise activate together with activates, okay, and unchanged, the intensity is increasing. So this is quite different from the hypothalamic activation pattern. So we conclude that hypothalamic hippocampal neurons can activate with mild exercise. This is for the studies, for more mild exercise, 5 minutes or 13.5 meters. We can find the dentate gyrus and the CF1s. So force studies, force accumulated cells increase like this. So it strongly implicates neurons in any of the sub-region. Dentate gyrus, CF1 can activate with very mild exercise. We need more physiological evidence showing this hypothesis. To do so, we attempt to monitor the regional blood flow in rats running on the treadmills for longer terms, because local blood flow increments is a good indication of neural activation based on the neurovascular coupling. Because look at these figures, if a neuron activated through by glutamatergic, so NO, nitric oxide, is a secretes from the answer side and to dilate the vessels. And finally, is local flow increase. This increase in flow should be the very important and rich environment for active neurons. So here animals got two probes. One is the laser Doppler probes for measuring, monitoring the local blood flows. The other microdialysis for injecting the drug to the CA1 regions. So please look at this figure here. So regional blood flow increased 25%, but this was just dependent on the TTX, sodium channel blockers. Okay, and so this implicates this increase in the regional blood flows results from the neural activation in CA1 region. This is a truth in these figures. Okay, this increase in flow decrease with NK801, that is glutamate made receptor antagonist, and LNase and NO synthase inhibitors. Both of the agents completely block the blood flow. So through these results, we can conclude even the mild exercise, very mild running on the treadmill, 10 meters per minute, so hypervolemias, functional hyperemia occurs through NVDA and NO signalings. So we we got hypothesis. Hypothesis should be true because neurons can activate with very mild exercise. So further, I studied lactate monitoring through an online microdiagnostic system for brain lactate change based on the astrocyte neuron lactate shuttles. If neuron activates, listeners' astrocytes activated, so glycogen breakdowns and the lactate is released in the interstitial fluids. So we can measure lactate through these micro online systems. So you can see the lactate increase dose responsibly. Okay? But this lactate in the hippocampus completely blocked by TTX, sodium channel blockers. This implies ANLS occurs in the exercise hippocampus. And TTX sensitive activity dependent lactate increase in the hippocampus is born from the astrocyte, not from blood streams, suggesting a neural activation. So this result leads us, hypothesize neurogenesis. Some of the neuroplastic change occurs, such as neurogenesis. It is true. This is controls, sedentaries, low intensities, below lactate threshold. And this is hyper intensities above the lactate threshold. So we force the animals around the treadmills 2 weeks. So this is a proliferation in mature neurons and mature neurons. In any stage of the developmental phase in the hippocampus, in the dentate gyrus, mild exercise could increase neurogenesis compared to intensity. So if the term is continuous and longer, 6 weeks, so very functional. Dentate gyrus can hypertrophy. We found hypertrophy in the dentate gyrus, like human. Okay? So brain and bone are in the same. We can say brain and bone are in the same. In these animals, we can get a probe test, Morris water maze test, and so this is a position, no change, but probe test clearly shows increase in the low intensity exercise training compared to the hyper intensity. Because hyper intensity gets much adrenal glands, hypertrophy and hypercortisol levels. That's why these animals got much intense exercise every day, 1 hour every day, and 6 weeks. So stress adaptation occurs, and the damping its positive effects. So that's why exercise effects very depend on the stress condition. So what's the mechanism underlying this phenomenon? We will focus on the hormones, growth hormone, growing phase, thyroid hormone, growth hormone, sex hormone. These are very important for developing our body and mind, body and brain. So we currently found IGF-1 regulating secreting from under the growth hormones, gets on the brain as well through the blood-brain barriers with some very specific mechanism. This is a collaboration with the Kahari series. So this is a summary. So if a neuron activates, so these agents increase prostaglandin, ATP, eicosanoids, together with the NO. Those are all acts on the vessel to enlarge. And several factors also increase, activate MMP9s, matrix metallopeptide peptides. And finally, cleavage, IgG binding protein, and free IGF-1 get integrated and active by active neurons. So we call this. This is a called neurovascular coupling. Neurovascular coupling. the we course, this is a new concept, neurotrophic coupling. So that's why the BNF, IGF-1 together with BNF, BGF is a very important factors to induce, one of the very important factors inducing neurogenesis. But some studies, androgen is very important as upstreams. That's why we focus on the androgen. This is the preliminary studies leading, hypothesis, androgen hypothesis. So, in this preliminary studies in which we compare the 2 weeks exercise training effects on hippocampal neurogenesis between infants and adolescent growth spurt periods, and finally growth spurt periods here from 6 to 8 weeks. Those animals got more positive effects compared with the previous periods. So, this is a very sensitive period for inducing neurogenesis with exercise. So it might be that testosterone secretion is activated during growth spurt. AHN mediate androgen effect. That is a new hypothesis. So brain androgen causes neurogenesis in male. Androgens is a potent anabolic steroid, including testosterone, dihydrotestosterone. Dihydrotestosterone is a very bad agent for, bald head. These hormones are mainly secreted from the testes and axon target cells through blood. This is known as endocrine, effect, regulation. Interestingly, recent studies show androgens are produced by muscles and heart, brain, so on, as an ectopic androgen, ectopic hormones, and act on these tissues. Androgen function so far has been known to involve the male pubertal development and muscle hypertrophy, sex difference, and aggressive behaviors. However, it is unknown. It is still unknown whether androgens mediate exercise-enhanced neurogenesis. Some groups in Spanish groups in Amadores reveals androgen, estrogen are working in the neurogenesis, in the development neurogenesis, but it is resting period. But it is not known in the responsive neurogenesis with exercise and environment. So to address this issue, we did 2 experiments. One is ostectomy, ORX. And the other is a receptor antagonist experiment, injection and androgen receptor antagonist. These figures are showing result of neurogenesis. You can see that in control groups, the number of cells in each cell types, Ki67, proliferation, immature cells with labeled with double collagens, and the mature neurons. Even neurons increase. That is controls. But how about the ostectomies? Unexpectedly, okay? So ostectomy have no effect at all. This is very surprising. So, but on the other hand, we are surprised. Androgen antagonist, flutamide, here, acton, immature and mature neurons, but wild unchanged. No effect on the proliferation cells. So androgen effect is remarkable to immature neurons and mature neurons, not the proliferation cells. Taken together, this is a first study showing the androgen, brain-genic, or I don't know where androgen is working. Some androgen is promotion factors of the exercise-enhanced neurogenesis, and closely related to the self-differentiation and survivors. Most important thing I would like to tell you, the androgen enhancing neurogenesis is coming from somewhere else, not from testes. So So which androgen is working? So brain synthesized androgen and our collaborator, as I mentioned you earlier. Dr. Kawato in Tokyo University demonstrated hippocampus can produce testosterone and the hydrotestosterone in the synaptic cleft. This is a scheme of hippocampal androgen synthesis mechanisms. These schemes show calcium influx through NMDA receptors. The glutamatergic synaptic transmission. NMDA receptors by neural activation enhance to uptake the cholesterols into the mitochondria from de novo synthesis. The neuron synthesize various steroids, including the testosterone, the hydrotestosterone. So maldexides induce neural activation of hippocampus. Based on this knowledge, we hypothesize maldexides increase the hypocampal androgens. But we have very big problems. People have a big problem. We saw that big problem. Brain androgen could not be detected easily so far, and probably due to the high reduced detective sensitivity with lipid and rich brain samples. So brain has a much lipids interferes in the detection. So that's why we also tested the hypothesis. We use commercial very normal ELISA kit and the measures. We can measure some testosterone, but we can fail. Ostectomy fail to decrease testosterone level in blood. In normal, ostectomy completely decrease in testosterone in blood, but we failed. That's why we cannot use this ELISA kit. So that's why we use a special method, developed a special method, two-step detection system, HPLC purification method, followed by picolinol derivatizations of sex steroids through this very sensitive method. Finally, we can find, detect discrete testosterone and the hydrotestosterone. To examine our hypothesis, we check the execution of the androgen synthesis, SAD5A alpha, alpha-2, androgen synthase, and the androgen receptor in the hippocampus. So, increase with exercise, such as the synthase increase. Even the ostectomies. Androgen receptor also upregulated. This is the messenger RNA results. And estrogen receptor alpha are increased, but no change in the beta. Aromatase are not unchanged if an ostectomy have been done. So we measure the hippocampal dihydrotestosterone, testosterone, and estradiol. This is it takes much time to do because of the methodological programs. But finally, we found hippocampal dihydrotestosterone, only dihydrotestosterone increase with exercise, even the ostectomies, ostectomy. But no change in the testosterone and the estradiol. So the hippocampal dihydrotestosterone is very specific to be increased with mild exercise. So that's why different from the endocrine regulation. So from the testis, brain-genic testosterone and dihydrotestosterone from testosterone acts on the neurons through androgen receptors and involved in the differentiation and the maturation. So this is the final question. So does brain androgen work in females? So androgen-related genes, estrogen-related gene, So even the female animals has receptors for androgen receptors, and the synthase 5A, 5 alpha, 1, 2, 1, and increase, and 1 and 2. compared to the in the dangerous and home. We can see these enzymes are working in ephemeral animals. And this is the immunohistochemistry shows both the androgen receptors and the synthetase are mainly expressed in hippocampal neurons. Not astrocyte. So we finally do experiments. So in the ephemeral animals, over X, no change. Tamoxifen is a specific antagonist for estrogen, no effect. But only flutamide are very working to reduce the neuron in the gyrus, increasing with exercise. So androgen has a pivotal roles on the hippocampal neurogenesis, even in females as well as male. So this is taken together today's talk. Mild exercise stimulates the hippocampal androgens, especially dihydrotestosterone synthesis, through the neural activation. Then the increasing dihydrotestosterone with exercise, mediated exercise, enhances neurogenesis. So this results implicates androgens. Brain androgen has a pivotal roles on the beneficial effects of mild exercise, both male and females. In future direction, we are thinking mild exercise might be useful for prevention of Alzheimer's disease. Because androgens after neurons and operate through neuron its plasticity and scavenging amyloid betas through nucleation. This is a scavenger, so amyloid betas. Take home message here: mild exercise enough enhance adult hippocampal neurogenesis. Our special development HPLC LC MES demonstrated that hippocampal dihydrotestosterone levels could be increased by mild exercise in osteotomy rats. Female can produce androgen in hippocampus. Androgen play a pivotal role in exercise-induced neurogenesis. Finally, there are any evolutionary implication that is still arguing. He is an Okamoto, now working under Bruce Macken and local universities. So we thank the Macken, Kabato, Hojo. So Amazones, fighting humans, Amazones. This is Amazones from the Greek mythology. Okay? Very strong women may have much neurogenesis, more than us. Thank you very much for attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shoya, for your wonderful presentation. Next, we're going to move to Q&A time. If you have any question and comment, raise your hand, and you just tell us your name and institution and ask your question. Okay, over there, please.
Thanks you for excellent presentation, Professor. With respect to finding that there is a relationship between hippocampus with learning and memory, okay? Or does middle training can help and enhance learning and memory, especially for female, and further especially menopause?
Thank you very much for a good question. So in the female studies is now just beginning, okay? Just beginning. Yes. That's why we don't know how exercise improves spatial memory, cognitive function through androgen receptor. This is still arguing. Okay, not yet check. Okay, please in the future study. That's a very good question.
Any question, please? Okay.
for your very nice presentation. It's very impressive and kind of difficult to understand. It's kind of difficult to understand. This is very, give a very important message for us. Thank you. Can I see the picture again about the lactate shuttle? Lactate shuttle from the astral site. Lactate shuttle. Lactate shuttle from bloodstream and lactate shuttle.
Let's go. Please show you the slide. Lactate. Let's go. Lactate shuttle slide.
Okay.
Sorry.
Backing lactate switch. Okay. Animal?
Animal.
Okay.
Oh, not this one. The schematic picture. It's a schematic picture. The mechanism from. Next. There.
Lactate in hippocampus?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you said that the lactate and the erythrocyte get the shuttle in the neuron, right? So how about the bloodstream lactate? Can you differentiate between the?
Yes, this is sometimes complicated. Okay, so we have lactate increase very much in the exhaustive exercise. Okay, in that times two sources is considered. Okay, one is the blood streams from muscles.
Right.
The other is from brain astrocyte, because the brain astrocyte has glycogen and can break down lactate through aerobic glycolytic system. Okay. So that's why in brains, the neuron in brains, lactate and pyruvates increase from brain glycogen through glycolytic systems.
You mean that the anaerobic metabolite lactate from the erythrocyte shuttle into the neuron, right?
Yes.
During the mild exercise.
Some researchers already reveals some portion, not so much. Okay, some small portion of lactate from blood streams get into the brains and the uptake by neurons as a fuel. Okay, but no other studies.
Yeah, so I mean the reason I want to
But
differentiate.
these studies, okay,
Yeah.
please look at this lactate change, okay. This lactate change completely blocked by TTX. TTX was injected in the brain, okay, locally, okay. That's why this lactate increase comes from brain astrocyte, not from bloodstream.
So you mean that I think
That's why it implicates the neuron activities and graded exercise.
so collectively you can say that the mild exercise can have the increase of the lactate by anaerobic metabolism and the erythrocyte.
Yes, that's a very good question. Even the mild exercise, okay, in brain, lactate increase in hippocampus.
Yeah, it's different, but it's different with the muscles.
Sure.
You can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Good question. Do you have any question? Yeah. Right.
Thanks for your excellent presentation, Professor. I want to ask about how about the testosterone circulation? It's compared with the androgen in hippocampus. Testosterone circulation.
You mean compares circulation between the muscle, testes?
Yeah, in the blood circulation. It's how
yeah.
the roles.
I think in animals underwent exercise training, so a small portion of androgen may increase, but not substantially. Okay. In that times, in the case, the such a blood increase and increasing blood testosterone, increasing blood should be from the testes. Okay. But we found for the first times, brain can synthesize androgen through a de novo synthesis. Okay. Originally synthesize androgen. by themselves.
Okay. Sorry.
And it occurs, such a synthesis, increasing synthesis occur even with mild exercise. That is our first, that is our findings.
Okay, it is time to close the special lecture section 1. If you have any further question, please ask question personally after this section. Again, please give a big hand to Dr. Shu. Thank you very much.